Alright, so I got a lot of requests for a multiple update story, so here I am. A 10-part updated series about a mother-in-law who stabs OP, and it doesn't end there. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Here we go. So to preface, I've been married for years, together for 7, with a 3-year-old. Mother-in-law hasn't liked me since I became a tattoo artist around 5 years ago, and gave her son his first tattoo. I'm heavily inked, and now my husband is too. His tattoos are a huge point of contention between she and I. She takes me getting modifications as him ruining the body she made for him, and has asked him on several occasions if he isn't happy with himself, and goes on these weird woes as me rants. I guess all the work I did to make you doesn't matter. You hate what I made. I'm the worst mother. How could you do this to me? She's always been nothing more than passive-aggressive, until today. We made a rare visit to mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law's house to let little one play on their jungle gym, since he's been begging to go. Mother-in-law was pleased and ordered us all takeout. It was actually kind of nice. Stepfather-in-law pulled out his phone and asked, "So, what do you think of this?" and showed me a really well-done tattoo. I said it was gorgeous. He asked me if I could do it, and I said no because it's not my style. Not a style I'm familiar with doing. But if he gave me time to practice it, I'd be more than happy to do it once I figure out exactly how to get that shading right. It's a very specific tattoo done by a well-known artist that is really hard to emulate. Well, mother-in-law overheard and made a snide comment about me being a bad influence. I joked back, "Yeah, being a bad influence kind of comes with the territory, I guess. I stab people a lot for a living." Well, I did not realize what had happened for a moment, and according to dear husband, mother-in-law moved so fast that it even took him a second to catch on. This jerk had been fiddling around with the fire pit, using a little hot dog roasting pick thing that came to a point. She whipped it towards me and jammed it into the upper part of my arm. I jumped up and started screaming. Dear husband was yelling, little one started crying. Stepfather-in-law ushered mother-in-law into the house and kept yelling, "Oh my God, sorry, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Why did you do that? I'm so sorry. Please don't call the police. Hold on, I'm coming back. Are you okay?" In other words, vomit to defuse us. We packed little one into the car and mother-in-law did not resurface. Dear husband went inside to confront her while I checked out my arm. It wasn't bad, it did not pierce it very far, maybe 1/4 of my pinky nail. But there was a good bit of dirt and stuff from the fire pit in my arm which freaked me out. Dear husband apparently confronted mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law. Stepfather-in-law was very apologetic and begged him not to call the police. Dear husband asked mother-in-law why she did it. She apparently answered, "She said she stabs people for a living, so I was going to poke her and say, 'Now you see how it feels.' But I didn't know my own strength." Dear husband promised not to call the cops, but said to leave him the duck alone unless he contacts her. Sounds good, right? Nope. Less than an hour after this happened, dear husband was on my butt about forgiving her. He now isn't speaking to me because I told him I actually do want to call the police, and he said if I did, he'd never forgive me. He actually threatened to grab little one and go to mother-in-law's house for a night if I did not call her to, quote, talk it out. She texted me over 20 times telling me that she did not mean to, but not actually apologizing. I don't know what to freaking do. I don't know how to end this post. My sister told me about posting here a while ago, and I've just been lurking, but never thought I'd actually post. This is such a crazy scenario. What's up guys, Mr. Reddito here. So this story comes complete with many updates, and it's going to walk us through this entire story with not one leaf left unturned. I hope you guys are having a great day today. If you're not subscribed to the channel, take a second right now and click that subscribe button, and we're going to jump into update Number 1. Preface. Little one and I are at the urgent care clinic with my sister. We'll be staying with her until dear husband finds a new rental. We're safe, thanks you guys for all the advice and help. So, my sister drove over immediately after I called her and told me to pack a couple bags and come on. This went down within 15 minutes of me posting. She lives about 10 miles away. I started packing and dear husband noticed and started freaking out, crying and begging me not to go. Sister took little one into the car so he did not have to see it. Thank God, because I lost my cool. We both yelled, we both cried. Dear husband kept yelling that his mom texted him to say she's crying her eyes out and is suicidal because everyone will think she's an abuser when I tell. He asked if I planned to call the cops and I answered yes. He asked me to come and talk to his mom one more time and hear her out before I did. I agreed because I was already feeling crappy. A little note. We rent from mother-in-law. She owns our house and lives up a small fenced hill from us. We're separated by some thick brush so she can't just walk down. It's a 5-minute drive. Mother-in-law came over and sat in the chair looking sheepish. The first thing out of her mouth was, "If little one here." I said no. I asked my sister to take him for the night. She sighed and actually ducking pouted, then said, "You wanted to talk, so talk." Well, my husband later admitted, he said he thought I was overreacting and that I would apologize. No. Him saying that emboldened her. Basically, I called her out and said there was no way it was an accident. She said she just did not realize how strong she is since she expects herself to be weak due to being sick. I don't know, apparently she has the flu, and invited us over with a little one anyways. I got mad, raised my voice, and she started trying to defuse. It was working, honestly. I was doubting myself, then she dropped a bomb I did not expect. You're just so hard to get along with. I just did not expect you to be the one dear husband ended up with. I'm glad he did, but I expected someone more biblical. I love you to bits, though. Dear husband, to my surprise, jumped up and yelled, "What the duck does that mean, Mom?" She looked startled, then scolded him like a dang child. It was so unexpected that I just sat back. She kept talking and talking, then said something about disciplining me like a child, and "It didn't even stab you that deep. This is so ignorant. If it's gone deeper, I'd understand." Dear husband, for once in our marriage, stood up to her. He blatantly asked, "Did you do this on purpose, Mom?" At first, she said no, then relented. "I didn't know it'd actually go in. I didn't know it would draw blood." Dear husband told her to go duck out. All of this is in less than 15 minutes. He told her to never call him again and that we'd be moving. She started yelling and he shoved her out the door and slammed it in her face. I told him that if he was serious about moving, good, but I'm not staying until we find a place and neither is little one. I also demanded therapy and to never see his mother again. He agreed, and my sister picked us up, and Lo crashed on her couch. Sister looked at my arm and said we needed to go to urgent care now, so here we are. They said it needs 2 stitches, so we're waiting on that, and I'm going to receive a tetanus booster and some other shots that I'm missing. We spoke to the clinic cop, and he said that it was probably an accident and basically brushed us off. So now we're filing a police report tomorrow. I'm so tired. I wish I could say it's a happy ending, but I'm heartbroken. I seriously doubt my husband's going to hold true on his moving promise once he sees rental prices compared to the amount we pay his mom. Sister said that we could have the living room and pay half of her rent, and if he doesn't have a place picked soon, I'm going to do it and file divorce. Send me strength, guys. My dear husband called me around 5 this morning and informed me that after some thought, he does not want to move. I guess a few hours is enough time to make that decision. He said mother-in-law came over and let herself in. He swears he would not have opened the door. I doubt it. And they talked for a while, and that she's genuinely sorry and offered to let us keep the house for free if we maintain the yard and let this go. I'm not proud of myself, but I lost it. I called him out on never supporting me on anything ever with his mom, and he just kept making excuses for her past behaviors. This woman spanked our child hard enough it left a mark when he was less than 18 months old for knocking a cup over onto her. And he excused it as, she did it with us too. She's just a parent and the ways and views as her own. She loves him so much and just jumped the gun. This whole ordeal makes me realize just how ducking broken our marriage is. Her thinking my son is hers is a huge freaking issue, not an excuse for beating him up. I feel like a crap mom. I've allowed her to do so much, and she's never laid a hand on him after that. But looking back, she said some awful stuff to my baby. She called him countless names by the time he was 3, because he spilled a plate of pasta and cried over it. That's just one example. Reading the comments here has made me realize how bad this actually is. I genuinely don't think she meant to break her skin, and we don't have the kind of relationship where she'd joke with me like that. I think she meant to poke me to hurt me and accidentally used too much force. Well, this is getting long, I'm sorry. I'm kind of word dumping while I wait for my sister to wake up and we go file the police report. I don't want to tell her all this because she's already so angry on my behalf that she's almost called father-in-law to get him to sort out dear husband. I told dear husband he can stay there and I'll move with my sister. He demanded that little one comes back to live with him, but I refused. He's welcome to see him, but he cannot take him anywhere because little one will not be seeing mother-in-law. Dear husband asked if little one could ever see mother-in-law again, and I said no, and as I started explaining that she's also been hurting him, dear husband just kept yelling, but she's my mom and his grandma, so she's ducking going to one way or the other. Over and over again. He hung up on me when I said, not after I filed the police report, I'm going to do that now. And sent me some text about how I never cared about him and how his mom is right because, well, if I loved him, I would not do this to him. Mother-in-law has also texted me. She's apparently so sick and upset that she cannot sleep. I haven't responded, but since the last post I've received 4. This last one includes a fun note about how even though I hate her, I could not take little one from her, and if I try, she will fight back. I screenshotted it, and I'm going to hand it to the police. If one, she admits that she was, quote, only joking around when she poked me, and claimed that it only went through because my tattoos weakened my skin. Which is hilarious. I'm rambling, guys. I'm sorry. This will probably be my last update for a while until this is sorted. But my sister told me to update something so you guys know we're safe and that I'm filing a report. And for divorce. To the 2 people who messaged me and asked me not to be hasty in deciding to leave him, well, he forced my hand. Have a nice Tuesday, guys. I'll update if I remember to once we get the ball rolling. You've all been a tremendous help. Thank you for welcoming me into your community and giving me the confidence to handle this crap and not feel crazy. Update number 3. Well, I'm filing for divorce. I meant to update a bit sooner, but things happened and I needed legal advice. I was exhausted. Well, for briefness' sake and keeping this from being a novel, I'm going to use bullet points. Dear husband and mother-in-law both sent me over a dozen texts apiece. Dear husband said he wants a divorce because I can't possibly love him if I hate his family this much. So I agreed. He backpedaled pretty hard and admitted he was trying to manipulate me but ducked that. Mother-in-law still hasn't actually apologized. We filed a police report. The officer was sympathetic and agreed it's assault but said not to expect too much because it likely won't go very far. They went out and spoke to her and I have no clue what she said. They did not arrest her, just warned her to expect a court date and leave me alone. She immediately texted me to stop and leave her alone. I didn't even respond. I've had doubts about the police report, but I'm not going back on it. This all happened before 4 p.m., so great day. Alright, I'm filing for emergency custody until this is sorted due to yesterday evening, which is why I wanted to post. Any advice on how to do this, or where to report to, or how soon they'll grant it? If so, thank you. I cannot get out my location, I'm not comfortable with it, so general advice is fine. Little one usually goes to and in a home daycare from 8 to 5 every weekday because of our work schedule. Due to me going in at 2 and not getting off until super late, I drop little one off and dear husband picks him up on the day I work. Little one did not go to daycare yesterday. My aunt came down and watched him while sister and I handled everything, because I did not feel comfortable since the daycare can't say no to the child's father. You guys really got me in the comments, and I texted literally anyone I could think of who I trust with my baby just to come watch him. He stayed at sister's apartment at 5:45. Little one's daycare teacher called me in a panic, asking if I dropped him off because he wasn't there to be picked up. I'd forgotten to call her to tell her we would not be coming. So I apologized and explained he would not be coming in for a little bit. She said his dad was outside to get him and asked if everything was okay. I said no, and tell him little one is not going back to daycare. She hung up and I got text asking where am I and when can he pick up little one. I said he's welcome to come see him, but he can't take him to see mother-in-law. That's when dear husband did not respond. So I'm on the freaking edge of the fence. I don't think that they'll kidnap him, but it's so terrifying to think about. And I don't know what mother-in-law's been saying. I can't be sure. Lastly, I'm going to my aunt's house later this week. She has a guest room and is going to watch little one every day and let me take her car to the shop for work. I'm going to pay her rent and plan to switch bank accounts and move my money ASAP. It's within state lines and about 30 minutes away, so we're okay legally. It also has way more space in a backyard so little one can play. Some background, since a lot of people think I'm being hasty about the divorce. Mother-in-law used to love me. She did not like my tattoos, but I didn't have a lot of them at the time. So she just brushed it off aside from some passive-aggressive comments. We moved in with mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law while I was pregnant, under the impression that we would buy the house once theirs was done being built, the one that they live in now. Mother-in-law asked that I take my piercings out. We fought about it, but I relented because it was supposed to be less than a 6-month thing. They moved like 4 months later, and I could still put in my 2 piercings. I only had 4 nostrils, septum, and my ears. I could put them in my ears at least. She noticed and threw a hissy fit over my basic earring holes and said part of the lease is that they cannot be in. Yeah, we went from buying to renting. Dear husband did not even tell me. Apparently, our rent was cheaper than the note would have been, so he agreed. This became a pattern. I'd tell mother-in-law no. Little one can't have something or do something or go somewhere, and she'd ask dear husband who'd say, "Sure, mommy, anything for you, you're the best mommy ever." Not really, but may as well. So for the last 2 years, little one was basically being parented by mother-in-law behind my back, and I didn't even know. She was our daycare because we both worked 9 to 5. Basically, most days until she spanked my son so hard it left an actual handprint, which bruised and welted. 4 months, she did not see him. Then dear husband started sneaking him over while I wasn't home. Then I'd come home and they'd be gone to, quote, get ice cream or the park. I caught him finally when little one started talking and said he was going to Nana's. My mom doesn't live here, so it clicked. I was so weak I caved and started going too. That's when the pasta incident happened, along with several other things. We started going less and less. I'd been tattooing at this point for quite a bit and had amassed a lot of pieces. Mother-in-law had only seen me briefly in long sleeves and long pants, so she had not noticed. But when she saw them, she claimed I was violating the rental agreement and tried to throw me out and keep little one there with dear husband. Dear husband offered me an apartment and said he'd pay for it from the money he was getting from mother-in-law. Money I didn't even know about. I refused and said if I left, little one was coming. But mother-in-law relented. She got really passive-aggressive when I started inking her son. I had done small pieces that were hidden on him. It took her a little while to notice and was outright abusive to him. She started making comments about, well, I just expect little one to show up one day with a tattoo. I dare you to touch him with that thing. If he ever gets one, I'll beat the devil out of you. Oh yeah, and you can't forget this one. Little one, you love yourself, so don't get yourself a tattoo and holes like them. Little one actually said he did not like mine at one point, but later admitted he did, but Nana said it was bad when he told her about some of them. Dear husband actually supported me then and told her to duck off. We rarely saw her for a while, and she brought this stupid massive jungular gem for little one for his birthday recently, and said it had to be set up at her house. Little one begged and begged to use it, so we let him and she stabbed me. This isn't me just wanting a divorce or throwing away years of our relationship. I know you meant well, you were polite, but duck off with that. My life has been turned upside down, I'm ducking terrified and don't know what to do. I've never been in a courtroom. I've only filed a police report once in my life other than this. I'm filing for a divorce, not because I want to, but because I realized I'm being abused and this is not okay. Also, I have enough money and resources to get by. Thank you all for the outpouring of help and kindness and all the amazing advice. We have our ducks in a row as far as documentation and stuff. I'm going later with a police escort to get little one and I's things, including paperwork. Thanks, guys. I've contacted a lawyer and I'm moving forward in the process. Update number 4. A quick update might last for a while until the legal stuff's over because I'm honestly overwhelmed. Lawyers said I can leave this up since there's no names or locations. Soon-to-be ex-dear husband knows that we are at my aunt's. He said he doesn't want to pick up little one, not that I offered, or see him right now because mother-in-law is so distraught that she plans to check herself into a facility, and he blames himself for her being like this. I saved the text message. Lawyers helping get everything ready for emergency custody. I took my deposits out of the account and I put them into my own per lawyer's advice. Mom found the photo of little one. We're getting copies made. Looking at it made my blood boil. That's my freaking baby. I should have handled this a while ago. She also found a copy of some of the insane stuff mother-in-law sent me when I was first apprenticing at the shop. Basically saying I'm an unfit mother because of my modifications, or sending me to hell while my son will be in heaven. Therefore, I'm abandoning him. Well, that's all for now. I feel better. Update number 5. My previous posts are just jumbled messes. I'm sorry, guys. I was emotionally dumping here because there was so much I could not say in my real life. I'm going to try to make this one a little less wordy. So, I got awarded emergency custody, and we have a hearing not long from now. Don't feel comfortable giving dates or any info like that. Originally, my lawyer advised against even going for it, but my soon-to-be ex-husband was only leaving evidence that he abused me. Not my child, but now, soon-to-be dear husband cannot even come near us until the court date. Police escorted me the day after my last post to get our stuff. Soon-to-be ex had the locks changed and at first would not open the door for the police. But they relented. An officer waited by the door for a while, and I gathered everything up in trash bags. I'd gotten all my important stuff in the car, including little one's birth certificate and shot records. Thanks, guys, for reminding me of those. And was loading up little one's toys when mother-in-law arrived. She peeked past me into little one's room and started ugly sobbing on my shoulder. clinging to me. I shook her off after a few seconds and kept loading toys and books. I finished up and started tripping little one's bedding, and she lost her mind, screaming about how she bought the toddler bed and I could not take it. She literally kicked it so hard, it slid away from me and grabbed the pillows, holding them to her chest like a petulant child. I started to argue, but I just shrugged it off and said I could buy him a new one. She then demanded to go through the bags that were in my car already. I refused. She apparently tried to help herself into my vehicle because after she slunk outside, I heard an officer shouting at her. I finished up. Soon-to-be ex asked if we could talk. I declined and left. Soon-to-be ex dug his own grave a few nights ago. I completely stopped responding and sent one text, telling him to go through our lawyers if he wanted to talk, and that if he wanted to see little one, he may only text, not call, and we would work something out. He kept texting and calling, so I blocked mother-in-law's number so she took to my messaging my sister on Instagram, demanding I bring little one back and talk this out with her son. Quote, like adults. Quite a change of tune, huh? Well, my sister let it slip that I'm pursuing a clause that would prevent mother-in-law from seeing little one, since I have proof of a few events that would be considered abusive. And now, suddenly, she loved me this whole time and wants to fix everything. Soon-to-be ex realized I wasn't responding, so he drove to my aunt's house. Lawyer told me not to lie about my whereabouts, so I told him. She would not let him in and told him to leave. They started shouting, and my mom and sister took little one upstairs. And when soon-to-be ex saw him walking with them, stairs are in the view of the door, he started pushing against the door as my aunt was trying to close it. He shoved it hard enough that my aunt fell, so he bolted inside and up the stairs. He started banging on the door and yelling for little one to come out right then or else. My mom was yelling, "What the duck does or else mean? What are you going to do? Hurt your kid? Let your mom hurt him? Go to hell." Paraphrased as she was losing her mind. He was yelling back at her when I caught up, and in the moment of stupidity, I shoved him. He shoved me back and kept shoving me and screaming in my face. So I ran back downstairs and he ducking chased me. He had never acted like that before, so I panicked and locked myself in the bathroom, which he tried to push his way into. At some point, on his ride over, mother-in-law came inside and started packing up whatever she could see of little ones. Well, the cops came not long after this. Aunt had run to her car and called them. Mother-in-law talked to them first and fed them a lot of BS, but once they realized we were hiding, they sided with us. Soon-to-be ex got arrested. Mother-in-law was informed she could have been arrested for theft for removing little one's stuff. She was removing them when the cops arrived, but was given the option to just give it back and go home. Ex was bailed out yesterday, lawyer got the custody order set up and is cleared this morning. Mother-in-law also may not come near him or attempt to pick him up, as she's included in the order. I never thought my life would end up like this, and honestly, every time someone knocks on the door, I feel like jumping out of my skin. I don't know what soon-to-be ex exactly has planned to do, but he's never behaved like that before. He usually is more mental than physical. I don't know what's gotten into him. Well, I do, but it all makes no sense. So, that's the last update. Little one and I both are starting therapy. He doesn't understand that's happening, and he misses his dad a lot. He said that he wants to go to mother-in-law's and play on that stupid ducking jungle gym. He said he misses her too. How do I help him understand this? He asks so many times if dad's picking him up or if we're going home soon. And it's breaking my heart. Update, mother-in-law aka Stabra came back this morning. She came to the main gate with 2 coffees and asked to be let in to talk. I could hear her yelling, "I brought her Starbucks. Tell her I brought Starbucks." when the gate officer called, I refused and told them to call the police if she doesn't leave, and that she was the one on the photo I was bringing down today for them to do the no entry file. They told her she could not come in, our house is on the corner, so we could see her at the gate. When we walked on the porch, we saw her arguing for a bit into the speaker box, then back out and leave. I went ahead and brought the photos of her and soon-to-be ex down to the gate office. The attendant said she left when he mentioned the police. It was all on camera. I'm requesting the video and filing for a restraining order because duck this. Stabra update after the coffee incident. So, I called the police back because they never updated me on what happened when they went to Stabra's. The officer said that she swore she would not come back to the community if he did not arrest her, so they let her be. If she comes back, she'll be arrested for trespassing and possibly a couple other charges. As the community's landlord is sick of this already and said he's done with her coming here and upsetting his residents. We're sending a C&D next week. Stabra tried to call me several times after the police visit her. When I mentioned it, the officer said to send her one because they technically did not tell her not to call, and it's just a civil matter, so they won't be involved unless she threatens me openly. Here's where I need the advice. X informed me that he'll no longer be fighting me on the divorce. Since I called the police, he's done, and wants it quickly and easily over. Sounds good. This is what I want too. He also informed me that he wants minimal contact with little one. He said he would take the lowest possible visitation schedule in exchange for me not going for child support. He said if he could, he would sign his rights away and be done with us, and that he may try while in jail. If he ends up willing to sign a paper stating that this is what he wants so that we can use it in custody proceedings, basically, he wants to pretend little one doesn't exist, in his exact words, because he'll never feel right around little one and doesn't want the clause keeping little one away from mother-in-law because it'd make visits a pain. Mother-in-law did all the actual parenting when ex and mother-in-law were alone with him anyways. I genuinely just don't know how to respond. I want little one to have a dad, and this came completely out of left field. I feel like he's trying to manipulate me, but at the same time, the text read is genuine. I'm turning a copy over to my lawyer when I see him Monday, but any advice on WTF to do, or even think about this? Update many months later. So, my soon-to-be ex has disappeared. Stabra came to my work and asked if I knew where he was. I told her no and to get out as I was busy and this is not the place. My shop owner came out and told her that he was calling the police next time she sets foot in this establishment. She sent a slew of text messages after being told to leave me alone, basically explaining that soon-to-be ex left a note saying he was going out of town and did not know when he'd be back, and that it would not be soon. She said she needed us and offered to let us live in her house. I didn't even respond. She sent another text asking for just, please let little one come see her, and that she'd pay for my gas, dinner, and a movie for my sister and I to just give her a few hours. I did not respond. She got nasty an hour later and called me a beep and said I deserve that heartache she feels and not her. I did not respond, just sent it all to my lawyer via email as they came. Shortly thereafter, she posted on Facebook asking about lawyers for grandparents' rights, and a little blurb about her son running away from being a parent and little one needing her. A CIL sent it to us and asked what was going on. I just said thanks and I did not feel comfortable explaining. So soon-to-be ex is unreachable. My lawyer's trying to do something, little bit of finagling, to keep the divorce moving along, but we don't know where he is at all. He did text me and tell me he left a spare key at the house and to go ahead and get anything else we want because when he comes back, he's donating everything and moving, but that I'd probably get ruined before then. An officer is going to go with us and let us get the rest of little one's belongings that we cannot take before, and my toiletries and makeup. There are other things I want, but I'm scared to take because I don't know about the legality of it. The officer agreed to sign off on an itemized list of stuff that we take, so X can't claim otherwise. And the police department agrees that this is all insane and are siding with us finally, it seems. Update number 8. Most important part of this update, X is safe. They found him. He used a debit card tied to Stabra's account. She called the police and texted me after it happened. The police notified me as well that he's in custody and will not be released until his court date. He had just crossed state lines, and according to Stabra's text, she, quote, told him to use the debit card because no one would know then when he did it. She called the police and told them her plan and helped them get him. Summarized, long text, inbound. Stabra claims she's helping us because, quote, she can't believe he's doing this to little one. I do believe she's concerned for little one and honestly feel awful. But at the same time, my lawyer said absolutely no contact between them and I'm just going to trust him. This happened late last night. Yesterday, I went back to the house for what will be my last time. I took the advice here and let the officer go in first. The house was clear and everything was in good condition. There was a lot of trash and the kitchen was filthy, but otherwise it was okay. Mom entirely cleared out little one's rooms and spent the evening rebuilding Aunt's guest room to look as close to little one's room as possible. Little one was super excited to have the rest of his toys and books back. Everything was untouched and perfect in his room. So after wiping it all down, he got some of his normalcy back. My room was wrecked, though. I had taken my clothes before aside from them in the washer. Those were nowhere to be found, but it's not a big deal. Everything was a mess in our room, trash was everywhere, but nothing was broken or damaged. We took photos of everything. Mom was loading the kitchen when Stabra showed up. The officer asked her to please wait outside and had me come out. She had a Walmart bag for me. Inside was my makeup and she had this little beaten puppy look and said that she, quote, saved it from the house when everything happened because she did not want it to get ruined when she knew how much I loved it all. I took the bag and thanked her to be civil, and she's kind of just hung around, asking if we've heard from X. This was before he was found. Asking if little one was inside, and asking if she could order us dinner. The officer only let her stay for a few minutes and asked her to leave, which she did without complaints. After going home, I looked up the makeup and it was clearly used. My Macworld lipstick had a hair attached to it. I tossed the whole bag. Stabra called the police shortly after we left and had a little meltdown about her son going missing and how we were both crazy and hell-bent on hurting each other, and that they need to get little one because we were dangerous. According to CIL, who apparently staying with Stabra now to, quote, help her because Stabra's family believes she's a danger to herself. A few hours later, she called the police about X's location then messaged me. My thoughts? She knew where X was the whole time. I don't believe her story one bit. She knew where he was, and when he used the card, she called because she's trying to manipulate everyone into removing any blame from her. Hence her bringing my makeup back and, quote, playing the nice guy role. I don't know where my ex's head is. My lawyer said to completely ignore her unless police contacted me, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll update you after the court date because this is just keeping me sane, or if something major happens. Thank you guys so much. Update number 9. Either Stabra is following me or has flying monkeys. Alright, so I don't have an update on X. I've washed my hands of it and decided to completely be uninvolved in his legal situation, per the advice of my doctors. He won't be out of jail until after his hearing, so I have no concerns with him anymore. Yesterday, my mom offered to keep little one for the evening and let me go out and blow off some steam. A group of friends and I went out to a movie and a dinner, and the group consisted of myself, a couple that I've known forever, a single female friend, and a male friend who's engaged, but his fiancée couldn't make it. This is all important since X knows all them. At dinner, the couple sat on one side of the booth. Female friend in a chair on the outside, and male friend on the other half of the booth with me. When the waiter came to clear the table, male friend and I decided to share dessert. Our female friend joked that his fiancée would be jealous, so he wrapped his arm around my shoulders and squeezed me, and said something along the lines of, "Well, she'll just have to get over it." Everyone laughed. I turned red because he was loud, and we shared the food and left. CIL messaged me about mother-in-law being in a tizzy. Apparently, I'd gone on a triple date with my ex's very best friend. No, this guy has been my friend. He got along with X, but they weren't close, and was all over him. We shared dessert and smooched. Mother-in-law messaged friend's fiancé, who told her to duck off because she knows me as long as he has, and I would not do that to her. So just a lovely little tidbit of drama. Can this just be over? Ugh, it's exhausting. Also, both friends and his fiancée had visited us at the old house and knew the crazy rules. Friend had stayed outside in 100-degree heat all day to hang out because X wasn't home because guys could not come inside. Final update for now. Stabra has been arrested, and it has no relation to me. Stabra was pulled over at a DUI checkpoint over the weekend and could not pass the sobriety test. Her friend's preteen child was in the back seat. Stepfather-in-law is bailing her out today if he can get the money together, as she's cut him off in the joint accounts. He asked me to help because she only had the girl with her because the mom was too intoxicated at the party to pick her up from a friend's sleepover because the kid was not planning to come home until the next day. I told him no, it's not my problem and I'm not enabling her. She's driven drunk before despite hating anyone else drinking at all, and stepfather-in-law claims this is her second time getting caught. I had no clue about the first one. She's possibly losing her license this time. So, small update, Stabber drives tipsy a lot, so it was only a matter of time. It just feels like a victory because it happened now. I have no clue who told her about the restaurant, but honestly, it is what it is. I'm happy karma's coming around.